Ladies and gentlemen, you are not your past. That's a truth many hear, but few truly accept. We live our lives often tethered to what once was, the mistakes we made, the people we lost, the opportunities we missed, the moments we failed. It's as if these things write themselves into our identity, becoming chains we drag around long after the moment has passed. But the past is not who you are. It's simply where you've been. What holds most people back is not a lack of opportunity or talent, but the false belief that because they failed once, they're destined to fail again. That because they were hurt, they will never trust again. That because they were overlooked, they will always be invisible. This thinking is like a fog that clouds vision. It doesn't let you see who you really are now. It only reflects who you were then. But people change. You've changed. You're still here. And that alone proves strength most people never recognize in themselves. Think about how much you've learned through pain. The times you thought it was over, but you kept going. The nights you sat alone with a storm in your mind, but still woke up and faced the day. That is not weakness. That is resilience. But the mistake we make is judging ourselves by the lowest moments of our lives as if we are frozen in that version forever. You were never meant to live in the past. You were meant to rise from it. There is power in separating who you are from what you've been through. Your past doesn't have the right to write your future unless you let it. Every person has regrets. Every person has made choices they would undo if they could. But the past cannot be changed, only learned from. The more you try to carry it with you into your future, the heavier your life becomes, and the heavier it is, the harder it is to grow, to breathe, to believe that anything can be different. That's why people stay stuck. Not because there's no way out, but because they've convinced themselves they're not worthy of something better. The truth is, you are worthy. Not because you're perfect, but because you are willing to try again. Because you are brave enough to imagine something more. Because you are no longer willing to be defined by the worst things that happen to you. That shift in mindset changes everything. Suddenly, the things that used to break you begin to shape you. The failures become fuel. The heartbreak becomes wisdom. The pain becomes perspective. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about refusing to let it become a prison. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning to live free from guilt, free from shame, free from the fear that you're permanently broken. Because you're not. You're becoming. You're evolving. You're growing through it. When you finally stop looking backward and start facing forward, your energy changes. Your choices change. You begin to act like someone who deserves better. Not out of entitlement, but out of truth. You stop settling for the bare minimum. You stop shrinking yourself to fit old narratives. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself like someone who has been through darkness and still found their light. And that's powerful. The people who truly reset their lives are not those who never stumbled. They are the ones who finally understood that their past was a lesson, not a label. You can live your entire life under the shadow of your yesterdays, or you can stand in the light of what today can become. You get to choose which one holds your attention, your energy, your identity. So yes, the past happened. You can't erase it, but you don't have to relive it. You are not your past. You are what you choose to become next. Change begins with a single choice. It's easy to believe that transformation requires a dramatic event, a big breakthrough, or perfect timing. But the truth is, it often begins in silence, in that quiet moment when you've had enough. Enough of the excuses, enough of the fear, enough of watching your life pass by while waiting for the right mood, the right person, the right situation. One choice has the power to break the cycle. One decision, no matter how small, can shift the entire direction of your life. People underestimate the weight of that first decision, not realizing that momentum doesn't appear out of thin air. It is created by action. You don't need to know every step. You don't need to map out the entire journey. You just need to move. You just need to say, I won't live like this anymore, and take one step in a new direction. That step may feel shaky. It may not look impressive to anyone else, but it's yours and it's real. Action always beats intention. You can think about change for years and nothing will happen. But the second you act, you've changed everything because you've proven to yourself that it's possible. That's how habits are broken. That's how confidence is born, through doing, through choosing, through refusing to stay stuck. People wait for motivation. They wait to feel ready, but readiness is a myth. You will never feel completely ready to leave behind what's familiar. Growth demands discomfort. Growth demands decisions made before you feel certain. That's the power of a reset. Not that it feels easy, but that it's born in the hardest moments, when staying the same is no longer an option. When you choose to move forward despite the fear, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of your environment and start becoming the author of your story. You will not always feel brave. That's okay. You don't have to be fearless to move. You just have to value your future more than your comfort. You just have to care enough about the life you want to stop clinging to the life that's holding you back. Every powerful change you admire in others, in stories, in leaders, started with that one internal shift, a choice to rise no matter what. No one is coming to save you. That may sound harsh, but it's actually the most freeing truth you'll ever accept. The moment you stop waiting for someone to fix your life is the moment you step into your own power. It's human nature to want support, validation, a guide. But if you live your life always hoping someone else will show up and rescue you, you give away your strength. You become passive in your own story. You lose control. You must understand that change isn't something you receive, it's something you create. Nobody owes you transformation. Nobody can hand you discipline, focus, or courage. These are things you must build within yourself. Waiting for the world to notice your pain, to reward your struggle, to clear your path, it keeps you in a cage. You don't need a rescuer. You need responsibility. You need ownership. You need to look in the mirror and say, if I want this to change, I have to change it. That realization can feel heavy at first because now it's all on you. But that's also where freedom lives. If it's on you, then you can begin anytime. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for ideal circumstances. You don't have to wait for someone to believe in you before you take the first step. That power belongs to you and only you. When you accept full responsibility for your growth, you stop blaming the world, your parents, your past, your circumstances. You stop giving energy to what's outside your control and start investing in what's within your reach. That's how you build a new life. That's how you reset, not by hoping things will get better, but by making them better. People who transform their lives are not luckier than you. They're not smarter. They're not more gifted. They just stopped waiting. They made the hard choice. They took ownership and they never looked back. Cut what drains you. It sounds simple, even obvious, yet most people continue carrying the weight of habits, people, places, and patterns that quietly suffocate their potential. We hold on to things not because they help us grow, but because they're familiar. Familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar freedom. But when you're serious about resetting your life, you can't take everything with you. Some relationships, routines, and mindsets were built for a version of you that no longer exists. Holding on to what's comfortable might keep you company, but it won't help you rise. You know what drains you, the conversations that leave you anxious, the friendships that revolve around gossip or complaining, the habits that rob your energy. Maybe it's scrolling endlessly through social media, comparing your life to others. Maybe it's the late nights that steal your mornings, or the fear-based thinking that keeps you in a cycle of hesitation. All of it adds up. Every drained moment, every wasted hour, every interaction that chips away at your energy, it's costing you something. And what it's costing you is your peace, your power, and your progress. The problem is we normalize dysfunction. We tell ourselves it's not that bad, that we can handle it, that we've gotten used to it. But just because you can tolerate something doesn't mean you should. Your life is too important to be filled with things that keep you stagnant. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you say no to something that could energize and elevate you. Every boundary you avoid setting, every toxic pattern you allow is a step away from your reset. Resetting your life isn't just about starting new things. It's about removing what no longer serves you. Subtraction is often more powerful than addition. It's not glamorous. It's not always visible to others, but it creates space. And space is where clarity lives. You can't think clearly when your mind is cluttered. You can't grow deeply when you're entangled in chaos. You can't focus when your environment is screaming for your attention. Cutting what drains you is not selfish. It's necessary. You are not obligated to remain loyal to what's breaking you. You don't need everyone to understand your reset. Some people will call it rude when you stop answering every call. Some will call it arrogant when you start saying no. Some will feel left behind because they were part of the version of you that didn't know better. That's okay. Your responsibility is not to keep everyone comfortable. Your responsibility is to live in alignment with the life you're trying to build. The right people will respect your boundaries. The right choices will recharge your energy. The right environments will fuel your fire instead of extinguishing it. You don't have to make massive cuts overnight, but you do have to start paying attention. What leaves you drained? Who leaves you second-guessing yourself? Which patterns steal your motivation? What habits make you feel numb instead of alive? The more honest you are with yourself, the more powerful your reset becomes, because you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. You can't evolve in the same space where you were constantly diminished. You can't reach new heights if you're still tied to the weight of what's dragging you down. There's power in pruning. Just like a tree that needs dead branches removed to grow stronger, you too need to let go of what's no longer blooming. Every time you cut something that drains you, you make room for something that empowers you. It could be more peace, more focus, more creativity, more purpose. But it won't come until you clear the space. This isn't about perfection. It's about direction. It's about finally taking inventory of your life and making decisions that reflect who you're becoming, not who you've been. Growth demands change, and change demands courage. The courage to walk away, the courage to draw lines, the courage to stand alone for a while if it means standing strong later. In the end, a powerful reset isn't found in what you add. It's found in what you let go of. Let go of what drains you and watch what begins to grow in the space you create. Discipline over doubt. It sounds like a motto, but in reality, it's a decision made every single day. Every morning you wake up, you're met with two forces: the discipline to keep going or the doubt that tells you to give up. Doubt is loud. It creeps in through your thoughts, questioning your progress, your worth, your ability. It whispers that you're not good enough, that you're not strong enough, that nothing will change. But discipline is quieter. It doesn't shout. It shows up. It moves when motivation disappears. It acts when fear is loudest. And that's what makes it more powerful. Motivation comes and goes. You can't build a new life on moments of inspiration alone. If your progress depends on how you feel, you'll stay stuck every time doubt rises. That's why discipline is the foundation of transformation. It's doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's choosing the workout when you're tired. It's writing the page when you're uninspired. It's waking up early when your mind tells you to sleep in. It's making the harder choice, the better choice, the right choice, over and over again. Doubt, on the other hand, feeds on inaction. The more you hesitate, the louder it becomes. The more you delay, the more convincing it gets. It doesn't need truth to survive, just your attention. And once it gets inside your head, it creates stories that paralyze you. Suddenly, you're afraid to try. You fear failure, rejection, judgment. You talk yourself out of greatness because doubt makes you believe that discomfort is danger, when in reality, discomfort is growth in disguise. That's where discipline steps in. It cuts through the noise. It says, I hear you, but I'm moving anyway. People often mistake discipline for punishment, something rigid and unforgiving. But real discipline is an act of self-respect. It's choosing the version of yourself you want to become over the impulse of the moment. It's recognizing that the temporary pain of discipline is far lighter than the lifelong weight of regret. It's giving your future self something to be proud of. Doubt wants you to stay small. Discipline demands that you expand. Doubt wants comfort. Discipline chases growth. The truth is, you will never outgrow doubt. Even the most successful people feel it. The difference is how they respond to it. They don't negotiate with their goals. They don't let feelings dictate their direction. They have built routines, systems, and habits that carry them through when their minds try to pull them back. That's the secret most people don't see. Success isn't built on motivation. It's built on consistency, on discipline, on choosing to show up not once, but every single day. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. There will be days when your mind tries to convince you that it's pointless, that you're not making progress, that it doesn't matter. But those are the exact moments when it matters most, because every time you show up, despite the doubt, you rewrite the story you tell yourself. You replace fear with proof. You turn hesitation into momentum. You prove to your mind that it's not in control, you are. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being committed. It's about doing your best, even when your best feels small. It's about stacking small wins until they become undeniable change. One workout, one choice, one disciplined hour at a time. And slowly the doubt that once ruled you starts to fade. It doesn't disappear, but it loses power because you've chosen not to listen. You've chosen to move anyway. You don't need to be fearless to reset your life. You just need to be disciplined enough to keep going in the presence of fear. You need to trust that action breeds clarity. That momentum silences doubt. That every small act of discipline builds the future you once thought was out of reach. Most people won't see the work you're putting in behind the scenes, but you will. You'll feel it, and in time, the world will see it too. Doubt is easy. Discipline is hard, but discipline is where freedom lives. Use your pain as power. It may not feel like it in the moment, but your pain holds within it an unmatched source of strength, growth, and clarity. We've been taught to avoid pain, to numb it, to run from it, or to hide it behind distractions. But what if the very thing you're trying to escape is the exact thing that can unlock your transformation? Pain has a way of bringing everything into focus. It strips away illusions. It exposes truth. It wakes you up from the life you are merely surviving and calls you to build one worth living. There's something about suffering, real, personal, gut-wrenching suffering, that introduces you to parts of yourself you didn't know existed. It shows you how much you can endure. It forces you to look within. It tests your identity, your beliefs, your values. It demands that you make a choice. Will you be broken by this, or will you be built by it? Most people don't realize that inside the same pain that crushed them lies the same fire that can rebuild them stronger than before. It's not about denying your wounds. It's about deciding what they'll mean. Everyone experiences pain, but not everyone uses it. Some let it define them, letting bitterness grow roots and control every decision they make. Others suppress it, pretending it never happened, only to see it resurface again and again. But then there are those who look their pain in the eye, study it, learn from it, and extract meaning from the mess. They ask the hard questions. What is this pain here to teach me? What can I do with it? How can I make sure it wasn't in vain? Pain can give birth to passion. Some of the greatest breakthroughs, missions, and movements in history were born from someone's personal suffering. The person who lost someone they loved becomes the advocate for healing. The one who grew up in chaos builds peace for others. The person who faced rejection learns how to open doors not just for themselves, but for everyone behind them. That is what happens when pain is not wasted, when it is channeled into purpose. You don't need to wear your pain like a badge of weakness. You can wear it like armor, not the kind that makes you cold and closed off, but the kind that reminds you, I've been through the fire and I came out with something real. Pain can sharpen your vision. It shows you what matters and what doesn't. It makes you grateful, it makes you compassionate. It creates a depth in you that no easy life ever could. Some of the kindest people you'll meet are the ones who have suffered the most because pain taught them empathy. It opened their heart, not just their eyes. When you begin to use pain instead of running from it, something incredible happens. You stop being afraid of it. You stop letting it control you, and you begin to see your story differently. You realize that the heartbreak, the betrayal, the failure, the loss, it didn't come to destroy you. It came to reveal you. It came to challenge who you thought you were so that you could rise into who you were meant to become. Pain doesn't come with permission. It invades, it disrupts, but what you do after it arrives, that's where your power lives. Pain can build resilience. It trains your mind to keep going when most would give up. It makes you resourceful because when you've felt deep sorrow, you learn how to create light in dark places. You learn how to breathe when everything feels suffocating. You learn how to be your own anchor in the storm. That kind of inner strength can't be taught in books. It's only forged in the furnace of real life. There will be days when you'll still feel the sting of old wounds. That's okay. Growth doesn't mean forgetting. It means being able to revisit the past without being trapped by it. It means looking back and seeing not just the pain, but the power it gave you. You made it through, you're still standing, and that is not a small thing. That's everything. Your pain is not your identity. It's your tool. Use it well. Let it fuel your purpose, direct your decisions, shape your voice. Let it give your life depth, meaning, and unstoppable momentum. The reset requires discomfort. This is the part most people try to avoid, the part they don't post about, the part that feels quiet, lonely, and unsettling. It's the messy middle, not where you once were and not yet where you want to be. But this space, this discomfort, is exactly where transformation begins. Growth doesn't happen in ease. It doesn't show up when everything is going well, when the path is smooth and your confidence is high. It shows up in the tension, in the uncertainty, in the moments when you want to give up but don't. Better to perpetually exert yourself in inner fear that you're on that unhealthy state. Your job is not your enemy. It's a signal. It tells you you're leaving behind the old and stepping into something unfamiliar. And that transition is never comfortable. That's why so many people resist change, not because they don't want better, but because they're not willing to go through the emotional friction required to get there. You have to understand resetting your life is not just about changing habits. It's about breaking attachments. It's about letting go of your past self. And that's painful, that's confusing, that's uncomfortable. Most people crave comfort because it feels safe. But safety can be a trap when it keeps you small. You get used to staying in the same place, repeating the same cycles, even when they're hurting you, simply because you've adapted to them. Discomfort is a threat to that false security. It forces you to question everything. It strips away the lies you've told yourself, the masks you wear, the identities you've created to survive. Suddenly, you're faced with raw truth, and truth is never gentle at first. You may feel lost when you begin to reset. You may feel disconnected from the people around you. You might feel like nothing makes sense anymore. That's normal. That's part of the shedding. You're unlearning, you're untangling from years of conditioning, from beliefs you didn't choose, from behaviors that no longer align. It's like detoxing from a version of yourself that no longer fits. The confusion you feel is proof that you're evolving. This process can't be rushed. It demands patience. It demands stillness. And that stillness will feel like chaos at first. You'll want to run back to what you know. You'll second guess your decision to start over. Your mind will tell you that maybe the old life wasn't so bad after all. That's how discomfort tricks you. It convinces you to abandon the very process that's trying to free you. But if you can sit in the discomfort long enough, something powerful happens. You begin to see clearly. You begin to rebuild with intention. This kind of clarity doesn't come from reading books or watching motivational videos. It comes from facing your inner world, sitting in silence when everything inside you wants to run, listening to the voice you've ignored for too long, paying attention to what your soul is asking of you. Discomfort isn't just a physical or emotional sensation, it's a mirror. It shows you where you've been hiding, where you've been compromising, where you've been asleep. The discomfort of the reset is sacred. It's not a punishment, it's preparation. You are being emptied of what no longer serves you so you can be filled with something real. But that means you'll go through days of emotional detox. You'll feel restless. You'll feel unsure. You might even feel broken. But that's the beauty of the process. What breaks you remakes you. What unsettles you transforms you. Don't try to skip this part. Don't try to numb it. Don't try to outrun it. Sit in it. Learn from it. Let it shape you. Because what emerges on the other side of discomfort is not just a better version of you, it's a truer one. You're not just changing your habits. You're changing your life from the inside out. That takes time, that takes pain, that takes presence. You must walk through the fire, not around it. Every time you choose to stay committed despite the discomfort, you're proving to yourself that you're not who you used to be. You're choosing the path of alignment over the path of convenience. You're building something solid, something that won't collapse the next time life gets hard. And the deeper your roots grow through discomfort, the taller you'll rise in strength, focus, and self-trust. You're not resetting to forget your past. You're resetting to reclaim your power from it. There's a big difference between running away and rising up. People often think that starting over means erasing everything that happened before, trying to escape the memories, the regrets, the pain. But that's not real healing. That's avoidance. True transformation happens when you stop fearing your past and start owning it. Every chapter you lived, no matter how broken or messy, brought you to this moment. And within that moment lies your ability to choose how the rest of the story unfolds. The past doesn't have to be your prison. It can be your platform. It can be the evidence that you made it through what should have destroyed you. It can be the reminder that even in your worst moments, you still had the strength to breathe, to keep going, to hope, even if that hope was faint. The past isn't something you bury, it's something you build upon. But to do that, you have to stop letting it steal from your present. You have to stop replaying the same scenes and expecting a different outcome. You have to shift your perspective from why did this happen to me to what can I create because of this? There is power in shifting from victimhood to ownership. When you reclaim your power from the past, you're not saying it didn't hurt. You're not pretending it didn't matter. You're just declaring that it doesn't control you anymore. That pain shaped you, yes, but it no longer defines you. That experience taught you, but it no longer limits you. Resetting means taking your story back into your own hands and deciding what comes next, not based on fear, but based on freedom. The truth is, we often give our past too much authority. We let one moment of failure determine our self-worth for years. We let one broken relationship change the way we love. We let one disappointment make us afraid to try again. But the past is just a memory. It has no power unless you feed it. You get to choose whether you carry it as a burden or wear it as a badge. You get to decide if you use it to stay stuck or to step forward. Reclaiming your power means no longer giving your past the right to define your future. When you reclaim your power, you begin to show up differently. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your journey. You stop seeking validation from those who only know your past version. You start acting from a place of self-trust, not self-doubt. You begin to walk into rooms like you belong there, not because your past was perfect, but because you've learned from it, grown through it, and risen above it. This kind of power isn't loud. It's not about proving anything. It's about peace. The peace that comes when you stop trying to rewrite history and instead focus on writing your future. When you reclaim your power from your past, you no longer react from old wounds. You respond with new wisdom. You no longer carry shame like a shadow. You walk in light. You stop hiding who you were and start honoring who you're becoming. But resetting isn't about deleting chapters of your life. It's about choosing what you carry forward. Some lessons, some strength, some clarity, but not the guilt, not the resentment, not the patterns that no longer serve you. You don't owe your past a place in your future. What you owe yourself is permission to rise above it, permission to live without apology, permission to become everything you were always meant to be. This is where real power lives, in the choice to take your past and turn it into purpose, in the choice to take the pain and turn it into strength, in the choice to take what was broken and build something unshakable. You don't need a clean history to create a powerful future. You just need the courage to reclaim your life, to say, that was then, this is now, and to walk boldly into what's next, not in spite of your past, but because of it. You're starting from experience, not scratch. That's one of the most empowering truths to understand when you make the decision to reset your life. It may feel like you're beginning all over again, like you're behind, like you've wasted time, but in reality, you're not starting from nothing. You're starting from everything you've lived through, everything you've learned, everything that's built the strength inside you. Whether you see it or not, experience is one of the most underrated forms of power. The lessons hidden in your failures, the insight gained from heartbreaks, the awareness shaped by your struggles, all of it has value. You've already been through the fire. You've already faced disappointment. You've been lost. You've been confused. And yet, you're still here. That means you carry with you a toolkit that someone starting from scratch simply doesn't have. You've felt what doesn't work. You know what exhaustion feels like, what burnout looks like, what fake friendships sound like. That knowledge is priceless. Every attempt you made in the past, even the ones that didn't go as planned, gave you insight. Every setback taught you something about your limits and your resilience. Every wrong turn refined your sense of direction. Starting again doesn't mean forgetting it all. It means applying it all differently. You know better now. And because of that, you can build smarter, faster, stronger. This version of you is wiser. You see through things you once fell for. You understand patterns that used to confuse you. You've become more intentional, more aware, more focused. That awareness is your edge. People often underestimate what they've already survived. They look back with shame instead of seeing the treasure in their own timeline. But survival is strength. Getting through tough seasons without quitting builds emotional muscle. You don't always realize it in the moment, but each storm you survived added a layer of depth, endurance, and clarity to your character. You're not as fragile as you used to be. You've grown through what you went through. So when you reset your life, you're not wiping away your past, you're using it as fuel. It's easy to compare yourself to people who seem further ahead, who appear to have it all figured out. But you don't see their scars. You don't know their struggles. And even if they did have a head start, that doesn't mean you're behind. Your experience gives you the ability to move with more precision. You've already seen what happens when you act without alignment. You've already lived through seasons of rushing, doubting, and distracting yourself. Now you're not just starting again, you're starting from wisdom. You've also built emotional endurance. That means when things get hard again, and they will, you won't crumble like you did before. You won't fall into the same spiral. You know how to regulate your energy better now. You know when to rest. You know how to protect your peace. You've learned how to listen to your gut, how to set boundaries, how to say no without guilt. That's experience. And that experience gives you an entirely new level of strength. The beauty of experience is that it can't be bought. It can't be copied. It has to be lived. And because you've lived through real things, your voice has weight. Your choices have depth. You've seen what doesn't work. You've felt what burns you out. That means you're not just blindly chasing dreams anymore. You're building with wisdom and purpose. You're more honest with yourself. You're more selective with your energy. That's growth. That's not a restart. That's a relaunch with upgraded tools. When you understand that you're starting from experience, you stop seeing the reset as a setback. You begin to realize it's a strategic shift. You're not failing, you're refining. You're not lost, you're recalibrating. Everything you've gone through is now your foundation, not your baggage. That shift in mindset alone will allow you to rebuild faster and stronger than ever before. You're no longer building blindly. You're building with clarity. You're not back at zero. You're standing on the shoulders of every version of yourself that refused to quit. This reset is not a weakness. It's a conscious, powerful decision to rise with everything you've learned and everything you've earned. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And that makes all the difference.